Here we're going to look at this prediction of May-June exams. We are going to see what are the main topics and main areas that you need to prepare as far as the exam of 058 Extended Math Paper 4. We're going to have a discussion based on previous years' main concept that has been tested, and which I feel that those are the areas that might appear in the exam. We are not going to take this as the main exam paper, but we are going to use this as for our preparation and revision purposes. If you are new to ProfLearn YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime we are going to do further tutorials, you'll be notified. So let's dive in so that we can be able to see what are the key areas that you need to look at as far as that exam is concerned. Number one, you need to understand that there is the concept of sine and the cosine rule. So in this question here, candidates were tested to calculate the length of QR, and you can see we have the angle of 25 degrees, and then we are having two sides. So here we're going to use cosine rule in order to work out this particular question. So we're going to start by assigning different values here. We're going to start by assigning the sides so that we can be able to be easily use the formula. P is opposite, so we can call this side P, and this is opposite to Q, we can call it Q, and R will be this one. Then we can be able to write cosine rule formula, but here we are going now to include cos of P, yeah, but P is 25, which we're going to ideally change there so that we can be able to say P squared is equals to 150 squared. Of course, we can be able to add 25 at that particular point, and then we can be able to substitute that into the calculator so that we can be able to see what our answer is going to be. So in this case, P is going to be 65.37 when you simplify that, and then we have found the length of QR. Now remember, in this particular exam, those questions that are non-exact questions, non-exact values, you are going to give your answer as 3 significant figures, or you can give in 1 decimal place, especially for angles. So that information is well provided here so that you can be able to ideally do that. Once we have identified that, we are going also to find SR. And at this given point, you can see we are given 45 degrees and 55 degrees. Then we can be able to find what this angle is. We can be able to use angles in a triangle add up to 180. So which means that this angle is going to be 180 minus 55 plus 45, and that's going to translate to 80 degrees. So this angle here is 80. Then now since we are finding the length of SR, we can call it X, we can apply sine rule because we have angle of S and the corresponding opposite side, and the P, which is 55, and the corresponding side is the one that we are finding, the opposite side to that particular angle. Then now you can be able to see here, we can be able to say X over sine X 55 is equals to, this side is 150 over sine 80. Now, whenever you are finding a side, my advice is the sides, the lengths should be at the top. If you are finding an angle, let the angles be at the top for sine rule. Then we can be able to multiply by sine 55 both sides. Then if you work it out, let's check what you're going to get. You're going to get your answer being equivalent to 124.8. We can write that and say this is basically 124.8, which is approximately 125 meters. 125 meters. So you need to be very keen as far as cosine and sine rule. That's a section that is not going to miss in this particular coming exam. Moving further, we are going now to look at how to find an area when you are given an angle and two sides Then we're going to use area is equals a half AB sine theta, and using 45 degrees. And then now whenever you are using this formula, the A and the B are the two sides that are forming that particular angle that you are using. So in this case, we're going to use a half AB 120 times 150 sine 25. Yeah, so we are finding the area of PRQ. So we shall use 25 degrees, but the sides that are forming that particular angle is that. Then we shall also find the size of the size of area, or the area of SR, which is going to be, we shall be using 150 and 125, 150 and 125 sine 45. Yeah, so if you work it out, you're going to get 10,400 meter square. And then let me just transfer this down here where the space was provided. Then we can be able to transfer it to make the examiner happy for that. Moving further, we have a question to do with compound interest, issue to do with money, increase and decrease, reverse percentages. Now in question 2, we are talking about in 2018, Gretel earned $32,000. She paid a tax of 24% on this earning. Work out the amount she paid. So if you're given that amount and you're given the percent of payment, we can be able to say, all right, this is going to be 32,000 times 24 over 100, because 24% as a fraction is 24 over 100. Then if you simplify this, you're going to get 7,680. Yeah. Then in 2019, Greta's earning increased by 7% from the previous year. So which means that the current year is going to be the new percentage for this year. For 2019, it was 100 plus 7%. This is going to be 107%. That's the percentage of the earning in 2019. Then it means that 2018, it was 100%, which was equivalent to 32,000 in that particular question. Then we can now be able to do cross multiplication here, and then we can be able to get what was its earning in the year 2018. Yeah, work out the earning in 2019. So meaning we were having 2018, which was at 2,000. After 2018, there was an increase of 7%. So we are working out the earning in 2019, and if you work it out, you are going to get that value being equivalent to 34,240. 34,240, like that. Greta invests 5,000 at the rate of 2% per year compound interest. So you expect to do question to do with compound interest. You expect to do with question to do with simple interest, and you expect to do question with appreciation and depreciation formulas. So in this particular video section, we're looking at compound interest. Amount earned after a given period of time is going to be given P, which is the principal, into 1 plus R over 100 raised to power n, where n is the period. Then if we substitute the principal and the rate that was given for 3 years, we can be able to work it out, and this is going to translate to what? 500. This is going to be, right, let me move this. This is going to be 500, 5,310. And this is going to, yeah, if we round this, is going to be 5,310. We just round it up. Yeah, so this is going to be our value. Then we can also look at the next question in part C. 1 month, Greta spent a total of 3,360 on presents. She spent 1/5 of his total on present for her parents. She spent 2/3 of the remaining money on her friends, and she spent the rest of the money on present for her sisters. Calculate the percentage of this amount, $360, that she spent on present for the sisters. The first thing that we're going to look at is the amount that was spent on the parent present, and that's going to be 1 over 5 times 360, which is going to translate to around $72. Yeah, $72. Remaining amount after spending on parents is going to be 360 minus 72, which is going to translate to 280. Yeah, we can work it out using our calculators, which is going to be 288. Friends, or they got 2% of the remaining money, 2 over 3 rather of the remaining money. So this is going to be 2 over 3 for friends, going to be 2 over 3 times 288, and that is going to translate to 192. And then sisters now will get the remaining share. Sisters will get the remaining share, and that is going to be 288 minus 192. And that's going to be 96%, $96. Of course, we can now work out the percentage, 96 of 360 times 100, so that we can be able to get the percentage. So you need to be ready to answer questions that I expect you to work out percentage change, percentage increase, percentage profit, percentage loss, compound interest, simple interest. You need to be well anchored and very ready to work out such kind of questions. We've gotten here, if you work it out, you shall get 26.7%. So I want to change, all right, move further and try to see how we can be able now to work out questions to do with ratios. And that is the last part of this section, part E. We are told that there is Aljun and this particular amount. Yeah, Aljun and 36,515 in 2019. This was an increase of 9% of his earning on 2018. So I think we've done a question basically related to that. So we're going to say 36,515 is equal to 109%. What about 100%? So that we can be able to work it out, and our answer is going to be 33,500 US dollars. Yeah, so that's what we were supposed to do at that part. In part E, Aljun and Gretel each pays rent. These two guys, they pay rent, and we are told that the rent they pay, Aljun ratio Gretel, is 5:7. That was 2018. In 2019, the ratio of the amount each paid on rent was 9:13. Aljun paid the same amount of rent 2018 and 2019, and then Gretel paid $290 more rent on 2019 than 2018. Then we are supposed to work out the amount Aljun paid rent in 2019. So let's work it step by step. I'm going to take you slowly so that you can be able to understand how you can be able to solve questions that looks like this. So the first thing that we're going to look at in 2018, what were their rents? What was the rent of Aljun and what was the rent of Gretel in 2018? So we're going to look at it in terms of 2018 Aljun ratio Gretel. That was 5:7. And then Aljun, let's say Aljun had 5x, then Gretel will have 7x. Okay? Then from here, we can also say in 2019, Aljun ratio Gretel. And then we can be able to say, let me just move this so that we can be able to, yeah, so meaning that if Gretel or Aljun paid 9y, we are getting that from the ratios that are provided, right? So if Aljun paid 9y, then Gretel had to pay 13y. Okay, but we are told that Aljun paid the same amount 2018 and 2019. So which means that we can be able to pick the amount for Aljun 2018, which is 5x. Then we equate it to 2019, which is 9y. We can be able to form our first equation there by picking for Aljun paid the same amount. So we can be able to say that this value that we have here and this one can be equated, because that's the amount we assume that they are going to they paid 2019 and 2018. So we can be able to say 5x is equals to 9y, and that now serves as our equation number 1. All right, so if that serves as equation number 1, we can be able to say that serves as equation number 1. Then we can now say that, look at the statement that we are told that Gretel paid 290 more in 2019 than 2018. So meaning that 2019, which was 13y, minus 7x, which was the amount she paid in 2018, then we can get the difference is going to be 290. And now this becomes our equation number 2. Okay, so I believe up to that point we are together, and you can be able to follow exactly what we've done here. The next part we're going to look at now is from the first equation we formed, 5x is equals to 9y. We can make x the subject of the formula, and we shall have x is equals to 9y over 5. 9y over 5. Then anywhere we have x in this second equation, for the 13y minus 7x is equals to 290, we can substitute. Anywhere we have x, we substitute what x is 9 over 5, 9y over 5. Then we say that is equals to 90. And this is going to translate to, if we rearrange that, we are going to have we can simplify and put the like terms together, and that is going to give us y is equals to 725. Y is the equivalent to 725. And remember, 725 y is the amount of Aljun. So meaning that if we want to know Aljun 2019, Aljun 2019 was 9y. So we can be able to say 725 times 9, and that is going to translate to what? That's going to translate to 6525. 6525 as the amount or the rent Aljun paid in the year 2019. Yeah, if you have understood how we have worked out this particular question, you can just leave a comment in the description so that I can be able to read it and get to understand that this was beneficial. I want us to look at a Venn diagram. The first thing that candidates were supposed to do here is to list the elements for each of that, because here we were told integers between from 41 to 50. Those are the integers are from 41 to 50. X is for set A, odd numbers. We're going to list all odd numbers between 41 and 50. Then multiples of 3. Multiples of 3, we are going to have 42, 45, and 48. 42, 45, and 48. Yeah, 42, 45, and 48. Then we have prime numbers, 41, 47, and 43. Those are prime numbers. I've not written 43 there, but I'm gonna write it after I've completed the Venn diagram. Yeah, so we shall put here, okay, and then we shall complete our Venn diagram. These are we can see those are complements outside, they are not anywhere in this three sets. And then, so what you need to be sure that there could be a question from this section, but most importantly, you need to know how to complete a Venn diagram. And then you can be asked question to list elements of A intersection C. We can be able to see A intersection C is A intersection C is 41, 43, 47. Yeah, the region that those B union C complement. B union C complement, it means anything outside the union of B and C. So that is going to be B union C complement. That's going to anything outside. So that's going to translate to, okay, let us put this first. Then we move to B union C. That's going to be 44, 46, and 50. Yeah, 44, 46, and 50. B union C complement means anything that is outside B and C. 44, 46, and 50. Number of elements intersection B intersection A intersection B intersection C. Number of elements in the intersection of all these sets. And the intersection of all these sets is this region there, and there is nothing inside here. This is the region that where all the sets are intersecting, and you can see there is no element there. Then we can be able to say this is a null set. This is a null set. A null set is a set that doesn't have any elements. Yeah, so basically that's what we're supposed to do in that particular question, in that particular Venn diagram. So whenever you are preparing for this particular exam, make sure you get ready to answer question to do with Venn diagrams. We need to move to statistics. We need to move how to draw cumulative frequency curves, how to answer question to do with cumulative frequency curves. And in this case, a cumulative frequency curve is drawn, and then candidates are supposed to work out the median. You're going to identify here, you get that's 80, which is the total, the total cumulative frequency. Then you divide that value by 2, and that is going to give you 40. Then you go to where 40 is, you draw a straight line where it meets the graph, then you go down, and this value that you will have here is going to be, yeah, you need to move it properly. So that you can be able to read properly here. That is going to be the median. So meaning you go to the top total cumulative frequency, divide by 2, then you get the value, which you shall draw a line like that for you to get what we call the median. The next question that now we can transfer that is 90 median. The next question that was asked is the lower quartile. Remember, lower quartile is a quarter of the total data. A quarter, 1/4 of the total cumulative frequency. So we're going to take 1/4 times 80. That's going to be 20. Then we shall go where 20 is. We draw a line. Then we check and read this value here. If you read it keenly, I want you to read, understand the scale that is used here. If you look at it keenly, you realize that this value is approximately 68. Yeah, so that is the lower quartile. But now when it comes to working out the interquartile range, for you to work out the interquartile range, you need to remember the concept that interquartile range is equals to upper quartile minus the lower quartile. And upper quartile is obtained from 3/4 of the total data. So that is going to be 3/4 times 80. And if you work it out, that you'll get the upper quartile. And the upper quartile in this case is going to be at 65. So we're going to go, that is approximately 65. Yeah, 65. Not 65, but 60 rather. This is going to be 60. Then we shall now go ahead so that we can be able to draw a line from here, meet the graph, and then we go down here and we can be able to read it somewhere there, so that we can be able to say it's 120. You can see there the upper quartile is 120, and then we can be able to say interquartile range is 120 minus 68 because it's the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. Now once you have done that, you're going to get your answer being equivalent to 52, as shown there. You can be able to say this is going to be, interquartile range, like this. If you work it out, you're going to get your answer being 52. Yeah, it's going to be 52, so that we can be able to move to the next part. Now, moving to further, we're told that we're supposed to estimate the number of houses with floor area greater than 120. So we need to move to the area axis, and we check 120, where 120 is, and we check what does it correspond up on the cumulative frequency. It corresponds to 60, so it will be 180 minus 60, so that we can be able to get that as 20 households of the area, which is basically greater than 120 meters square. And of course, question to do with probability can come here, whereby maybe you can ask what's the probability of houses or households with area more than 120, more than 120. You can now say probability will be 20 over 80. So you can be asked a question like that. So I believe you can be in a position now to answer them. I want us to change the gear so that we can now look at how to work out question to do with mean, because also mean is an area that you can be asked to work out. So we can come up first here. We're going to come up with a table that's going to enable us analyze the data, and so that we can be able to work out the mean. So the first thing we're going to do is to we need to find the midpoint. Of course, the midpoint, we're going to call it X. This is the floor area classes. These are the classes that were provided in this particular question. Okay, then we have the column for X. X is the midpoint, which is going to be 40 plus 60 divided by 2, 60 plus 80 divided by 2, 80 plus 100 divided by 2. That's the midpoint, and that's going to be in the column of X, right? So we can be able to complete that column for X, and 160 plus 200 divided by 2 is going to give us 180. Then now frequency, it was given as 14, 17, 18, 15, 9, and 7. But for us to find fx, it means we're going to take 14 times 50, which is going to give us about like 700. And then we shall have 70 times 17, 1190. Then we have 90 times 18, which is going to give us around 1620. Then we have 115 times 15, which is going to be 1725. We work out that 145 times 9, which is going to give us 1305. And we finish with 1260. Then for us to find the mean, we need to find the sum of all the frequencies, which is going to be actually 80. And we need to find the sum of f of x column, fx column. So that's going to be, if we add everything there, we are going to get what? If we add everything there, what are we going to get? If we add everything, what are we going to get there? Let's do it so that we can see what we're going to get. Okay, if we add that, I want us to see what that gives immediately. Check what if we add everything there, what do we get? Yeah, this is 700 plus 1190 plus 1620 plus 1725 plus 1305 plus 1260, which is going to translate to, yeah, this is going to translate to what? This translating to 7800. This translating to 7800. So we have 7800. And then if we divide by, yeah, so you can see now, if we add everything here, we are going to get 7800. So which means that if we are going to divide 7800 divided by 80, that's going to be 97.5. So that is basically what you are going to do. Now, the next part that we are going to have here is trying to complete the histogram, because also a question to do with histogram will be tested. And something that you need to remember, histogram, we need to draw a frequency density on the y-axis and a class size on the x-axis. So frequency density is usually frequency divided by the class size. So which means that we are going to have here, for instance, at this point, class size is going to be 20. So frequency was 18. So 18 divided by 20, we are going to get 0.9. And then class size here is basically 30. 15 divided by 30, we get 0.5. And then you complete that frequency density column, and then you can be able to plot, you can be able to draw your graph as shown there. So you'll have your histogram well drawn. So what you need to understand is the formula that is used to calculate the frequency density at that given point. Moving further, you can see, find the probability that one of the house has a floor greater than 130 meter square and the other floor has area of this. So meaning that we have different options. You can have probability for greater than 130, and the probability for, then followed by the probability less than 60. So if you work it out, you are going to check what is the total number of houses that have probably the area more than 120. You come here, you can even come here and check 120. Where is 120 here? More than 120. It's going to be 16 over 80 times 14 over 79. Then the two that we are having here is that you can start with any. You can start with 14 over 80 times 15 over 79. So that because there are two different ways you can be able to do it, and that's going to translate to 28,395. Another question that you can be tested is a question to do with solids. And in this particular case, we are given a solid cone of radius 1.65 and a slant height 4.7 centimeters. Calculate the total surface area. since it's solid, we're going to find the area of the curved part, which is pi RL, and L is the slant height, plus the area of the base of the bottom, which is basically what? Area of a circle. So that's why you can see surface area here, saying that is going to be pi r squared, which is going to be the area of the base here, plus the curved part. The curved part of a cone, remember, is usually this part that is usually curved. So this is the curved part, and that's usually given by pi r L, is given by that formula, whereby L is the slant height and R is the radius that we have here, 1.65. And so if you work it out, you're going to get 32.9. And we are supposed to find the angle the slant height makes with the base of the cone. So meaning that we are working out this angle here, this angle at this given point. So we are going to use the radius and the slant height. Then we can be able to use SOHCAHTOA, because this is adjacent to the angle and this is the hypotenuse, and this is the height. Then we can be able, the right angle here, then we can be able to use SOHCAHTOA. Whereby we have adjacent hypotenuse, so we shall say cos 1.65 over 4.7, and then we can be able to find cos inverse, and our answer is going to be 69.4. Calculate the volume of the cone. So we need to know what the height is in order to work out the volume of the cone, because volume is a third base area times height. So the height is going to be 4.7 squared minus 1.65 squared using Pythagoras theorem, and the height becomes 4.4. Then we can be able to say volume is a third pi r squared h, which is going to be 12.5 as shown there. We are also told that the metal sphere with radius 5 centimeters is melted down to make cones identical to this one, cones identical to the one that we were having here. Then the volume of the sphere from the radius that is provided, remember volume of a sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cubed, then we are going to get 523.6 as the volume of the sphere. The number of cones will be the volume of the sphere that was melted divided by the volume of one cone, and that is going to translate to 41 as our answer at that given point. I believe you understood how you're supposed to work out that questions or such questions, so you can be able to we can be able to proceed on. The next part I want us to look at is volume of prisms. So question can be asked from prisms as well, and you can see here we are supposed to show that angle EBA is equal to 32 degrees. Which angle are we talking about? EBA, this particular angle we are talking about. We are given this value here. Then now we are asked to work out angle, this one. Yeah, this is the angle that we are being asked to work out. Now, something that we are told there, the volume of the prism is 145 centimeter cubic. And we know volume of a prism is usually cross-section area times the length. Now, the length in this case is actually 15 centimeters. So we can be able to say area is equals to area of AEB is going to be a half AB sine theta. Yeah, and the theta that we're going to use is the angle that we are being asked there. Then now we can say volume is cross-section area times the length. So we can be able to use that information so that we can go ahead and work out. So we are given the volume. You can say it's half 64 times 5.7 times sine theta, yeah, then times the length, which is 15. But that volume was given as 145, remember? And then we can be able to solve for sine theta. Then we can be able to find theta by finding the sine inverse of whatever that we have at this given point. So the first thing that you are to remember is that cross-section area times length is going to give you volume. And the way to get the cross-section area of this triangle ABE is to find area is equal to a half AB sine theta. Now, if we work out this angle, basically this angle is going to be around 32 degrees. It's going to be 32 degrees. And then we are going to work out the length of EA. Length of EA, okay. Length of EA here we're going to use, yes, we are finding, we have the, all right, let's check the measurement. We have the measurement there, this angle, we are having this angle 32. Then when you have one angle, two sides, and you are finding the side that is opposite to the angle especially, then it means we are going to use cosine rule here. You can see now there is another cosine rule concept that we have worked on. Then it means we can be able to find square root in order to find the value of x at this given point. If you work it out, your value will be, just put it, crunch it into the calc so that we can be able to see exactly what you're going to get. So just crunch it so that we can be able to see. Yeah, so that we can be able to see what we're going to do there. And this is going to be around 3.40 as our value of x, the length. Yeah. Calculate the shortest distance from E to AB. E to AB. E to AB. So it's basically the top is E, so, and the base is AB. EA, sorry. Find the shortest distance. Let me just show you so that we can be able to make peace as we are working out. So we are having this side here, this going to AB. This is basically here AB, and this is E. So if you are working out the shortest distance from a given point to a line, the shortest distance is going to be perpendicular, because you see, if you use this, it will be longer. If you use this, is longer. If you use a side here, this length is longer. This, so the only shortest side you can have here is the line that is perpendicular to the line that you are being asked from that particular point. So that point, that's why I went ahead and worked out shortest distance is going to be the perpendicular distance. So remember, we had gotten here 3.2, isn't it? 32 rather, and this is 5.7. So we can be able to use sine SOHCAHTOA. Sine 32 is equal to h of 5.7, and you can get your answers 3.02. 3.02. Calculate the angle BF makes with the base. So let's look at where is BF. BF is from here to here. So, and the projection of BF on the base is going to be this. Yeah. So we're going to have a right an angle formed between here, and this is the angle we are going to use. Remember, the height of this is 3.02. The shortest distance, remember, we were asked, the shortest distance here is the same distance that we have at this point. And we can be able to find what this is, because this is here, this here is 90, 90, because we can be able to use Pythagoras theorem, and this one from here to here is 3.2, from here to here is 3.2, so we can be able to find what this by using Pythagoras theorem. This squared minus this squared, square root will give us this, and that is exactly what I've done here, so that I could be able to get it. I got BF, and then I used sine beta is equal to 3.02 over 16.05. Then we can be able to find sine inverse to get 10.8. Yeah, so all right, so that's it. That's what we are supposed to do in that particular question. The prism is made of plastic with density this. Calculate the mass of the prism. Remember, density equals to mass over volume. Mass will be density times volume. So volume was 145 and density is given here. And we shall have the mass to be 136 grams. 136 grams. So common question to be asked. Also will be question to do with functions. For instance, here you are told find the value of x when g of x is equals to 20. So meaning we're going to take g of x equated to 20. We'll take 16 on the other side. We shall have 36. Square root will be -6 or +6. Inverse of f of x. We start by changing f of x to y, which is going to be y minus is equals to 7 minus 3x. Then we switch x and y. Where you have x, you write y, you write x. Where you have x, you write y. And that is going to translate to x 7 minus 3y. And then we shall make y the subject of the formula, and our function becomes this. Next is g f of x plus 1. Meaning that in function g, anywhere you have x, you are going to substitute what f of x was. So meaning that this is going to be 7x in the function g. G is x squared minus 16. So meaning that it's going to be 7. We are going to substitute this anywhere we have x here. Okay. G f of x. So anywhere we have x, we're going to substitute this. That's going to be 7 minus 3x squared minus 16 and plus 1. Plus 1. So the answer becomes this. And if you expand, because you expected there to expand, so that you could be able to get what the answer will be. Now on the axis, sketch the graph of y is equals to g of x. We need to check what was g of x. What was g of x? We need to ask ourselves, what was g of x? We need to go and see what g of x was. X squared minus 16. And we got the values for x, -6, +6. Those are the solutions for that. Then now we can be able to go ahead and sketch that graph. Of course, we have -6 here, and the graph is going to pass that way. -6 and 6, then it will pass -16. Yeah, and it will pass -16 on the y-intercept. So that's how the graph is going to look like. Right, so find the equation of the tangent to the graph of this. First, we know that y is equals to x squared minus 16 dy dx, meaning we are differentiating this. If you differentiate that, you take x down, 2 down in front of x, so, and we decrease the power by 1, so that's going to be x, and then differentiating a constant is usually 0. And we are doing that at the point where x is -3, so this is going to be at x -3, is going to be 2 into -3. And that means that we can also substitute the value of x to the original equation, so that we can be able to get the we can be able to get the y coordinates. And in that case, going to be 9 minus 16, which is going to be -7. Then we can be able to find the equation of the line, because gradient of the tangent is equal to the gradient of the curve. So I'm going to use the gradient that I got -6 as the gradient of the tangent. And for you to find the equation, we have the point where the tangent is going to pass. Then we also have the gradient. Then we can be able to find the equation of the line using the formula y minus y1 is equals to m into x minus x1, where y1 and x1 are the points where that line passes, the line that you are finding the equation. And in this case, our line we are finding the equation passes through point -3 and a -7. So x1 is going to be -3, y1 is going to be -7. Then we can be able to substitute that gradient is -1. Rearranging this, we are going to get our answer being equivalent to what? If we work it out, we are going to get y is equals to -6x minus 25. Yeah, so minus 25. So at this point of time, you need to know how to work out question to do with equation of the normal, equation of the tangent, perpendicular bisectors. You can also be asked question to do with finding points where a line cuts the x-axis or y-axis. Who knows? Such kind of questions will be tested. So the most important thing that you need to do is to prepare well, prepare widely, solve as many past papers as possible so that you can get used to answering more questions. Moving further, we are given the equation h of x is equals to e is to x. This is an exponential function, and this exponential function does not go below the x-axis, so we're going to have this as the y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is where x is 0. So if you put x is 0 at 3 power 0, it will be 1. So this graph is going to pass on the y-axis where we have 1, and that's going to be like that. Yeah, and where the x-axis in this case is actually the asymptote. Write down the equation of the asymptote, and the equation of the asymptote is going to be given as y is equals to 0. Y is equals to 0 is the asymptote. Maybe I can give you another question. Maybe in the event you are asked, for instance, let me just give you another example. In the event you are given maybe y is equals to let's say 3x plus 4. 3x plus 4, how will you draw that? This value that you have here represents the horizontal asymptote. So whenever you're going to draw that, you are going to mark the point 4, meaning that's where the asymptote is going to pass. This one was y, this is h of x, or y is equals to 3x plus 0. There was nothing, so meaning the asymptote y equals to 0 is the asymptote. That's why it was here. But if it's 4, it will be somewhere here. Then the graph will go up like that. But in the event maybe this is negative, the graph will increase towards the negative. If it was the same value but negative, the graph is going to increase the same way up like that. So okay, what about if this graph was let me see, if the question was -5, how will the graph look like? This is y is equals to -5, so meaning the asymptote will be down here. Then we need to check where is the line going to cut the y-axis. Is going to cut where x is 0, so it's going to be 1 minus 5, so it's going to be -4. It's going to cut -4, and then your graph is going to be increasing like that. All right, so I believe maybe if this is too much for you, but you need to know how to state those asymptote kind of questions, and I believe that has helped. You've understood it a bit much better. Moving further, let's see what other question was asked. We have question to do with vectors. You need to prepare on question to do with vectors, and here we are given 5, -2, and FG position vector is -2, 3. Find the coordinate of G. Remember, if you have F and you are being asked G, it will be the column vector of G minus the column vector of F. If you are finding FG, when you subtract the column, the vectors to get the position vector, it will start with G minus F. So in that case, you are going to say, let's let the position vector for G, the one that we are finding, to be XY. Then we shall say minus 5, negative 2, and that is equals to negative 2, 3. And we can now use the x component, the top, x minus 5 is equals to negative 2. We solve for that. And we also go for y minus 2 is equals to 3. Also, we solve for that. So that is basically how you work out those questions. And the most important part is remembering that whenever you are finding FG, you take the coordinate of G minus F, the end minus the starting. Yeah, so that's going to be 3. Then we can now do this one, y minus 2 is equals to 3. And then we can be able to also get the value here being 1. We can transfer the coordinate here, and then we are done. Now we are finding a 5f of g, a constant or a scalar multiplier. 5 times f of g will be what? 5 into bracket negative 2, 3, and multiply every element by 5. This will be negative 10 and 15. And our answer becomes that modulus of f of g. F of g, remember it was negative 2, 3. So we're going to say modulus is going to be square root of, was that? So we can say minus 2 squared plus 3 squared. And then we find the square root, and that's going to translate to root 13, which is around 3.61. 3.61. So those are questions to do with what? Question to do with vectors. Now we can move to part B. And in part B, we are told that OABC is a parallelogram. P is a point on AC. Q is the midpoint of AB. So it's going to be half-half. Then OA equals A, OC is equals to vector C. But if you are moving A to O, you are going to have a negative sign. I believe you remember that. Now find AQ. For you to move from A to Q, it will be a half of C, because from O to C, since this was a parallelogram, also this is going to be C here. Okay? Yeah, so this length also AB is going to C. So AQ is going to be a half of C, as shown here. OQ, we're going to move from O to A, then we add A to Q. So it will be A plus a half C, which we have somewhere here, A plus a half C. Now, the next question is, OP is 2 over 3A plus a third C. OP is that. Show that OPQ lie on a straight line. Now, for you to show that they lie on a straight line, there must be, for instance, OP is equals to N. There must be a number you multiply to get OQ. One is a multiple of the other. That condition has to be satisfied. For points to be collinear, for point to be in a straight line, they must satisfy two conditions. Number one must be a multiple of the other, and there must be a common point. Now, for instance, here I'm considering OP is equals to NOQ. You can see the common point here is what? O. O is the common point. Then OP can be given as a third, because here we were given as 2 over 3 plus 1 over 3C. So OP can be written as a third into bracket 2A plus C. We can factor a third out on this expression that we are given. But OQ is a half of 2a plus c. Can you look at OQ? OQ was a plus a half c. OQ was a, or a plus a half c. So meaning that we can write this as a half of 2a plus c, because if you multiply this half times 2, it becomes 1a, and a half times c will give you this. So meaning that OQ can be written in this form. Then you can see now we are having common term here, isn't it? So meaning that from OP we can say 2a plus c is 3OP. If you multiply this on the other side, you remain with 3OP is equal to 2a plus c. Therefore, OQ is going to be a half times 3OP. I don't know whether we are together. From OP, we have a third 2a plus c. Then we can multiply by 3 here. We end up having 3OP is equal to 2a plus c. Anywhere you have 2a plus c, you can replace with what? 3OP. So meaning here we can say this OQ is a half. Instead of writing 2a plus c, we write 3OP. So you can see OQ is equal to 3. 3 times this is going to be 3 over 2 or OP. I'm not dividing, I'm saying the all of this we have here can be replaced with this. I'm not dividing. So let me just cancel that so that you guys are not going to confuse and say that I divided here. I've not divided anything. This is what we have. OQ is this. But 2a plus c can be replaced with what? 3OP. And then we can have our equation reducing to OQ is equals to 3 over 2OP. So they are collinear because O is a common point and OP, therefore, and they are multiples of the other, then OPQR in a straight line. They are collinear. They are collinear. Another area that you need to be ready to answer is a question to do with similar shapes. Of course, here I've just shown how you get this. Yeah. Now you can be able to get that. So you can see now if you have OP ratio OQ, you will have OP ratio OQ. It will be 1 over 1.5. 3 over 2 is the same as 1.5. So 1.5 there. Question number 9, similar shapes. We are finding x, so we are going to use x over the corresponding side is this. X over 15.3 is equal to 13 over the corresponding side. And if you work it out, we are going to get 10.2. Also, we have concept to do with area scale factor. But something that you need to remember, a linear scale factor will be 20.4 over 13.6. You can use any corresponding sides so that you can be able to get the linear scale factor. But also, once you have gotten the linear scale factor, you can find area scale factor, because area scale factor is linear scale factor squared. Then area of PQR over area of XYZ is equal to area scale factor. Here we are having area of XYZ, so we can be able to substitute there. Area of PQR over this one is equals to linear scale factor squared. And if you started with a larger length at the top, also you should have a larger area at the top, as shown here. Then we can be able to have our final answer being as 143.1. Also, volume scale factor. Of course, you can get it here. We are given the volumes. Okay, we are given the volume, the capacity in liters. These are the volumes. So we can be able to get the volume scale factor by dividing 64.8 over 37.5. Then we find cube root to get the linear scale factor. Then from linear scale factor, we can find the area scale factor, because there's no way you can move from volume scale factor to area scale factor. You have to find the cube root, you get the linear scale factor, then you cube the linear scale factor to get the, you square the linear scale factor to get the area scale factor. Now, once you have the area scale factor here, you can say area of the larger one over the area of the smaller one. Equally here, you must have started volume of the larger one over the volume of the smaller one so that you can be able to proceed. If you started with the volume of the smaller one over the larger one, also here you do area of the smaller one over area of the larger one, so that you can be able to use this area scale factor that you have gotten here. And if you work it out, you're going to get 0.55 at that point. Question number 10, already we have worked out question to do with mean, what you are supposed to do. I've taken you through how you are supposed to work it out step by step so that you can be able to find the mean. Also, you need to know how to find frequency density, which is frequency over class size. And of course, I've worked it out. For you to draw the histogram, of course, is the most important area that we need to look at also. Drawing the histogram after filling in or completing the frequency densities, then we can be able to go ahead and work out the histogram. All right, so moving to that, we are going to draw the first bar, checking what that was. The second one, we shall move up to that point. Move up to that point. This one is 340. We move up to 340 somewhere here. This is 70, quite low. So 70 is somewhere here. 70 is approximately here. Okay, so this is our very beautiful histogram. And yeah, we have it. We have our histogram well demarcated here. So we have our histogram. Yeah, so this one is okay, right? Yeah, so we have our histogram well drawn, and then we can now move to finding area of sectors, yeah, and perimeter of sectors, of course. Yeah, so in this particular question, calculate the area of the shaded part. Remember, we are going to work out the area of the entire triangle minus the area of the sector. Once we work out the area of the triangle, we shall subtract the area of the sector in order to find the area of the shaded region. But we are told that this was an equilateral triangle. If it was an equilateral triangle, it means all the angles are 60. And the length also, we were told each length of the side was 12. So, and the ratios are provided here. We can be able to find what this distance AN and AP is. Of course, they are equal because that represents the radius. So we have the ratios well demarcated. Yeah, this is 12. A to B is 12, but we need to find A to N. So what were the ratios here? 2/3, and this is 1/3. So this is going to be, yeah. Then for us to find AN or AP, it will be 2/3 times 12, and that's going to be 8 centimeters. And AP also is going to be 8 centimeters. Then we can be able to find the area of the sector, which is going to be, area of the sector is usually given as what? Area of a sector is going to be given as θ/360 pi r squared, and the angle was 60 because we were already told that it's an equilateral triangle, means all the angles around that triangle is basically 60 degrees. Each angle is 60 degrees, so we can be able to say 60/360 times pi times 8 squared, and that is going to translate to, if we work it out, we're going to get it there. And then area of a triangle, we're going to use a half AB sine theta, but A and B will be 12 since the length of the triangle, each side was 12 centimeters, and the angle is 60. So if you work it out, we can be able to get 33.51 and the area of the triangle 62.4. And now to work out the area of the shaded part, we shall subtract the two. Yeah, we shall subtract the two so that we can be able to know what this is and what this could be. So basically, that's what we are supposed to do in this particular question. And now we move to expressing in simplest single fraction. Here we're going to find the common, the LCM, least common multiple, and which is basically the multiplication of the denominators. And then we do cross multiplication, put the like terms together, open the brackets, put the like terms together, cancel what can cancel, simplify it basically, and that is going to translate to, of course, x squared here. I can see it's going to cancel out beautifully there. That's positive, yeah, so that, yeah, it's positive. Then we have our 6. Yeah, I think this 6 will cancel with the 6 on the other side. Yeah, I think you need to see this clearly, and then I have to move this a little bit so that it's quite visible. You don't cry that you didn't see the part that was obstructed here. Yeah, so you can see now this x squared and x squared will cancel out, 6 will cancel with this 6, and finally our answer is going to be 10x over x minus 3 x plus 2. Yeah, so that's what you want to have. And then we have indices, of course, question to do with indices. When numbers are divided and they have the same base, we subtract their powers. So here 32 can be written as 2 raised to power 5. We subtract these powers, so we are going to have 12 minus k over 2 is equals to that. Then now we can, since the bases are the same all true, we can equate the powers by saying 12 minus x over 2 is k over 2 is equals to 5. And multiplied by 2 all true, you will get 24 minus k is equals to 10, and our k translate to be 14. And expanding brackets is also another area that you really need to be very careful with. Whenever you're given a question like this, you can decide expanding. For instance, you can decide to expand this first, you get the answer for that, and that's what I did. And how do you expand that? You take the first term in the first bracket, multiply by everything that is in the second bracket. That's why you can see I did y times this times everything that is here, y into 2y minus 1. Ensure that your work is well arranged, and put brackets so that you open while you are conscious about the signs, so that you cannot miss marks because of forgetting a negative sign. Then when you put the like terms together, you are going to get this expression. Then remember, we were having this part also remaining. Then you are going to multiply it there equally, y times everything that is inside here, and then 3 plus 3 everything that was inside this bracket multiplied. Putting the like terms together, we are going to get this. Making y subject, or rather making x subject, this is a kind of question that will be asked, making subject of formulas. So here you can see we shall multiply y both sides, and since x appears here and x appears on this end, yet we are making x the subject. When you have that scenario where there are two terms which have x, then you have to put those terms on one side so that you can be able to factor x out, and then you're going to divide by y minus 1, and you shall have your answer well illustrated there. You may be asked also a question to do with speed and forming equations. Something that also that you are to remember: speed is equal to distance over time. Then speed, this time is distance over speed. So you can see here we are told that kite runs 12 kilometers at this speed. So time taken will be 12 over x. And then Yuki takes 1.5 long to walk along the same path. Then we are going to write an equation for that. Remember, Yuki is going to take 12 over x minus 4. because this speed is lower, is going to take a longer time to cover that distance. Then we can say 12 over x minus 4 minus the time that the other guy took, Kaito, is going to be equal. When you subtract the two, you're going to get 1.5. Then multiply all the terms by x into x minus 4, because x and x, those were the denominator. So if you multiply them, you multiply x into x minus 4, you are going to get rid of the denominators. Then you are going to form an equation. You are going to form an equation which is going to be this. Upon solving that equation by factorization, it will factorize to x minus 8 into x plus 4, and that will mean that x minus 8 is equals to 0, and then x is equals to 8, x plus 4 is equals to 0, meaning that x is equals to minus 4. Finally, find the number of hours it takes Yuki, so that's going to be 12 over 8 minus 4, because Yuki's speed was x minus 4, and we're going to take our correct value of x to be 8, because speed cannot be negative, so we are not going to take this as the speed, right? Then that's going to be 3 hours. All right, so a bus travels 440 kilometers correct to the nearest 10 kilometers to the nearest. So that value you are told to the nearest, you divide by 2, so that you know what to add, what is plus or minus to get the upper and the lower bound. So this one is going to be 440 plus or minus 5 to the nearest half an hour. So 1 hour is a half. Then what you need to say plus or minus is 0, a half of whatever that you are told, a half, going to be 0.25. So calculate the lower bound of speed. Lower bound will be lower bound of distance over upper bound of time. Yeah, so that you have a larger number denominator, it reduces the answer that you are going to get, and that's going to be 69.6. Question to do with substitution. You are told substitute or find the value of when u is equal to 5.2, t equals to 7, a equals to 1.6. Where you have those letters, you are going to substitute there, and remember to include the signs. And also where you are told to square, remember to square, so that you can be able to get the answers. Simplifying, where you are told given terms like this, put the like terms together and then simplify. Where you are expected to factorize, go ahead and factorize. Here we are given 5 over 3x is times 9x over 20. 5 can divide 20 4 times. 3x can divide 9x 3 times, and the final answer becomes 3 over 4. Solving this equation, we are going to multiply by x both sides, then we divide by -3 both sides as well, and the answer becomes -5. Solving such an equation, first open the bracket and then put the like terms together for you to solve, and then if you do that, you are going to get all your marks. All right, then we have indices. Already we have done this, but whenever you have bracket for indices like that, it means this power that is outside here is going to be multiplied to every power that is inside this bracket. But we have 27 raised to power a third, 9 times a third, then squared. What I've taken a third inside, I've left the 2 out. Then 27 raised to power a third is like the cube root of 27, which is 3. And x raised to power 9 times a third will be x raised to power 3. Then if we square this, is going to be 3 squared, and the powers here, we are going to multiply them, and you get 3 squared is going to be 9. X raised to power 3 squared is going to be x raised to power 6. And that becomes our answer. Expanding and opening bracket is an area that we have looked at, and we have said that you are going to look at this. You take the first term, multiply to everything that is in the second bracket. Second term, don't forget this sign, multiply everything that in the second bracket. Open, put the like terms together, you are going to get your answer 6x squared minus 2xy minus 5y squared. Yeah, so that marks the end of this particular prediction, and I believe if you've watched through, there's a lot that you can learn from here, and I know that most of the concept that will be tested in that particular exams, this will be very, very beneficial. If you found value from Proflan YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime I'm going to do more tutorials, you'll be notified. And also don't forget to share this particular video to your friend. Encourage them to join Proflan. I will see you in the next tutorial, and all the best for those who are going to do this particular exam. And furthermore, don't forget to come back once you have done the paper to give us a feedback. How was it? Was this helpful? See you in the next tutorial.